What is up, winning team? Hello, everybody. Yes, I look like this because I've been crying, and I've been crying because of this book right here. And this book is a book that one of the local schools, one of the teachers at one of the local schools decided some time ago, about 8 years ago, that she was going to get all of the different year groups, all the way from reception. So this is a primary school for those outside of the UK. Primary is like basically all the way up to age after preschool and all the way up to age 11 would be the oldest in primary school. So the oldest you're about to hear stories from this book, which is literally one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Child you're going to hear here is 11 years old. And the front of the book says, "We are writers." The blurb of this book states this. It says, "Every child can be a writer. This book is a collection of creative writing by the pupils of," we're going to call this Orange Academy because obviously I'm going to keep all the details about the children confidential. "It is a celebration of their imagination and talent and gives the reader a glimpse of their passion and interests," right? So we're going to go to, this is just the most beautiful thing ever. I want you guys to hear this, right? I'm going to read you some of the stories that are in this book. We're just going to flick through. I probably may cry. I'm going to try not to. And there was a certain theme for this book. Listen to this. So it's starting in the reception class. So this is, how old are reception? I don't remember how old reception are. I would have to extrapolate back from year 6. I don't know. They're probably about 4 or something. I don't know. Anyway. So I'm going to change, by the way, some of the details where they've obviously named names of people, themselves, their friends, teachers, the school itself, for the sake of confidentiality. So the title of this story is, "This is a reception student. The class going around the world in the future." So it says, "Reception class are on the time-traveling bus. They're looking out the window to see where they are going. They arrive in the future at night time and they are sad because they are in a forest where wild animals live. After walking for days, they found a spaceship with a robot inside it, but the robot was broken. Reception class called the ambulance to come and bring the sick robot to the hospital. The hospital fixed the robot and the robot was not ill anymore. He found the reception class and said thank you, and everyone shouted, 'Hooray!' The end." I just think this is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Here's another one from reception. "Once upon a time, there was a boy called Silly, Silly, Silly Jack, and he was on an airplane traveling to the future. On the airplane, Jack saw a cupboard and opened it. Inside was a robot. The robot said, 'Beep, beep, 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 beep.' He moved his arms and started to turn around, wiggling his bottom. Silly, silly, silly Jack thought it was funny. He laughed and laughed until he grew into a grown-up, and he was not silly anymore." The end. Isn't that the case? Adults are so just unimaginative and just so, what's the word for being like, just boring. I remember when I was a kid, I remember thinking, when I'm an adult, I'm never going to become boring. I'm never going to lose like the enjoyment of my imagination. That's why I feel like I've got such a young spirit about myself. Another one from reception called The Lost Boy. I changed the name. Thomas went time traveling on a train. In the middle of the train, he found a space rocket. It was all white with an alien inside it. The alien told Thomas that he was going into space where there were lots and lots more aliens. Thomas got on the space rocket and went to see the aliens. They were nicer aliens and they all became Thomas's friends. The end. Like, oh, this is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Okay, one more from reception. This is so sweet, right? There was a silly boy who played with his friends in the school. Then he started to go out of the school. His mum and dad came to see him and they took him time traveling. They went to play with some new friends in a new house. The house was very far. The boy went to see the Lord of the King in a church and they prayed for Jesus. They had food and read stories and they went home. Then they sleep in the night and then they got up for school. The end. My goodness, I can't handle this, you guys. This is what I'm saying, right? This is the words of just kids who have been given an opportunity to have something they can keep forever. This book is 8 years old now from when these kids wrote this. I love these stories. The hungry snake. There was a snake. It was hungry. I know, I'm sure the teachers helped a little bit with like the punctuation and stuff, but there are some errors in here, so I feel like they didn't overdo it, if you know what I mean. There was a snake. Full stop. It was hungry. Full stop. It eats apples. It eats flowers. It eats pears. It eats lollipops. It eats ice creams. It eats bananas. It eats cakes. It eats oranges. It eats a candle. Then he lights up. The end. So now we're going to go into year 1. Listen to this. Are you fed up of not going into the past? Read these instructions and enjoy traveling to the past. What you need: a time machine, a magic key. This is a scientist. Whoever this is, he's a scientist. I'll be like, if I saw this, I'll be like, I can see you being a scientist. I wouldn't say that, but I'll be thinking, what to do. 1, first, open your time machine. 2, next, press the button. 3, type in where you want to go. 4, you will go back in time. Now you can go and enjoy the past and be happy enjoying where you want to go. There's a couple like this where they've got the little instructions. I wonder if that was what they were told to do in this class. Oh my goodness. Here's another one. Again, year 1. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Kim. She wanted to go back to the 80s. She was always telling her friends about the 80s. One morning, Kim woke up. She was in the 80s. She had a Rubik's Cube pajamas. She had Rubik's Cube pajamas. Sorry, full stop. She's put on her school uniform and she saw a Rubik's Cube. She put it in her school clothes. She walked to school. She saw her friend Sophia. I love how their sentences are so short. Like every statement I'm saying is like a sentence of its own. She saw her friend Sophia, but Sophia did not know who she was. Kim was sad. She played with her Rubik's Cube. After she went home, she went to bed. I like the 80s, she said. She woke up. It was all a dream. This is so precious. This is absolutely so precious. Okay, this is cute. So here, this is a letter, back in time letter. We're still in year 1. Dear Stuart, I'm telling you about my amazing adventure. I saw a time machine and got in it. It took me to the 1950s. We played a cat and mouse game and stuck in the mud. We went inside and played more games. We played pick up sticks, and then I went back in my time machine and I went to the 70s. We danced to the music and we were good at dancing. I got back in the time machine again and I was in 2000. We saw fireworks. I got back in my time machine and ended up in the 80s. We made a Rubik's Cube and danced some more. Finally, I ended up in the future. There was robots. Yours sincerely, Eric. Obviously, guys, I'm changing the names here, so just so you know. Oh, gosh, this is so cute. Another letter. Dear Mum, I'm writing to you to tell you about my time machine. What were you doing when I was time traveling? When I was running for school, I saw a time machine. I went to touch the button and I was in the 70s and we were in the class having a disco. Everyone was dancing. I was dancing. I was having a lot of fun in the 70s. I enjoyed it a lot. Yours sincerely. And then they put their name. Do you see what I'm saying about the children, you guys? Like, this is what I'm saying. They're just so pure and they just want to, you know, they just need us to do our job. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do you go from something as precious as this to the adult population and the state of the adults today? You know what I'm saying? Gosh. So another one from year 1. One day, sorry, it's hard to remember to change the names. One day, Stephen went to the kitchen. He went in the washing machine. He fit inside and it was a time machine. He set the date to go where he wanted to go. 2010. He was in 2010. When he was in 2010, he met a friend called Sean. He was only 1 year old, but he was as smart as Stephen. He could even walk. So Sean said, "Who are you?" Stephen said, "I am Stephen." Sean showed his dad to Stephen. His name was Bob. He was a builder. Bob built a tower all by himself. Stephen said, "Wow." Just then, the time machine started to glow. There was no time. Stephen had to go. Stephen went in the time machine, and after that, he was at Orange Academy. I mean, I just don't know how you guys can have such hatred for this. Let's go to year 2. Ready? Year 2, you guys, my goodness. Do you know how young these kids are? I was teaching year 3s. Oh my gosh, the year 3s might have been my favorite age group that I ever taught because they're very boisterous, they're very excitable, they don't care that they're supposed to be in school sitting down at their desks. And I was teaching these year 3s during the midst of COVID. So I'm the one who's having to make them line up and make them wash their hands and sanitize this, and they're not allowed to touch this. Try telling a group of year 3. So how old were they? They were like, so year 3 and year 5. Year 5, so 10, 11, so 9. So they were about 7, right? So these guys are about 6 that I'm about to read in a second. And these year 3s, by the way, those kids to this day, it's ripped my heart to shreds having to leave that, walk when I had to, when I finished that job. But yeah, try telling a bunch of 6-year-olds, it's 25 of them, that they need to sit still, they can't touch anybody, that they need to only use their own pencil, and they can't share pencils, they can't share rubbers, they need to sanitize after this, they need to... Nightmare. Here we go. Dear Victoria, this is year 2. Guess what happened yesterday? I went in my dad's car and it took me back to the 1950s. I knocked on someone's door and I asked them if I could stay at their house. It was the Queen's house. She said yes. I saw that the first Barbie doll was coming out. Prince Anne and I wanted to get a Barbie doll, so we went to buy it. I love how these guys know some stuff, you know what I'm saying? When we got back, we started playing Barbie dolls for an hour. We loved our Barbie dolls. We watched Andy Pandy and Dolls on television. It was so funny. Our dolls stayed in Anne's and my room. I went to the Queen's birthday party. I sat next to her. It was a very long table. We brought our Barbie dolls with us. The Queen let the children play outside, but we just played with our Barbie dolls. Then I had to go back to 2016. So I said goodbye, and that I had a fun time. Yours sincerely, Elizabeth. So cute. So very cute, right? Let's read another one. Gosh, it's so hard to think of all these different names. Dear Timothy, yesterday was an amazing day. You won't believe what happened. It was a normal day at first. I got out of bed and went to watch TV, but it sucked me in. I was going back in time. I was outside the new McDonald's in America. I went inside and bought a burger and ate it. It was so delicious. Then I was going back in time again. I was so excited. I was in 1953. I was in London Street. There was a massive party with lots of cake. I saw a newspaper headline, "The Queen's Coronation." I had a bit of cake and went back in time. I was outside the first ever Sainsbury's, which for those of you who are outside of the UK, Sainsbury's is one of the supermarkets. It was very busy. I bought some chocolate. I will never forget this day. Yours sincerely, Alex. Guys, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? You can see there was a theme here, guys. There was actually a theme. Let's go to year 3. Let's go to year 3. This is so interesting. Because some of the information they're saying, I don't know if it was what was actually happening or not. I wasn't there to see them do this, but whether it's true or not, the imagination is there. And you know what? This is what I'm saying about with children. Like when you give them something and you believe in something, you give them something to have that's like special to them, that makes them feel like they're a part of something, they're a part of society. It really brings the best out of them. You know, that's why I was crying reading this, because as I'm reading through this, I'm just hearing all the voices of every single negative word I hear from the adult population about the youth of today. Right? About the youth of today and how we're whatever and whatever. And look at what we're capable of. A whole book here from the whole school. Every kid is in this book. They're all of their names with the title of their stories is at the contents page of this thing. And it's just absolutely beautiful. Right. I've got another story here. The 1970s were a fantastic time because of the entertaining music and films. There were popular songs like Staying Alive, The Stairway to Heaven. The most popular films were Jaws and Star Wars, which has now made a total of 7 films that tell the rest of the story. They are making new Star Wars film at the moment. It's going to be awesome. Now on to the football. In the 1970s, football wasn't fun. So this is the age group like what I was teaching. Oh, I miss those kids. Now onto the football. In the 1970s, football wasn't fun and lots of teams cheated, including the Netherlands. The best centre back in the league at the time committed a crime and was sent to prison. George Best played football. He was one of the best footballers at the time in the World Cup. Brazil, unfortunately, could not play in the World Cup. Happy 60th anniversary, Orange Academy. We are all so grateful that you teach us so well. I think this was the 60th anniversary of the school. Oh, this is so precious. Oh my goodness, it's so precious. Okay, let's read the next story. Oh, and these are the actual teachers from the school, because obviously I know about all the schools, because, you know, first of all, I grew up in this town, and second of all, as a teacher, and also because I care about the education system, I spy on everything I possibly can. Like I follow like all the schools on Instagram. I watch all their pages. I want to know what you were doing with the kids. Like I need to be plugged in. Which, by the way, upcoming video about the changes to the education system in this country. So, Orange Academy's 60th is the title. On Friday, the 29th of April, 2016, we had an amazing time-traveling adventure. We went in the hall in the silver time machine and went back in time. Next, we went to the fantastic 2000s and spoke about the different years and what had happened in them. We then designed a dress. I thought my one was lovely and I had fun. See what I love about kids? They're so simple. They're so simple-minded and imaginative. And I wish the adult population was more like that. Just simplify everything. Everything amongst adults these days is we're all doing all of these, like, it's like when you see like these contracts I tell you guys about when people are making business deals. That's like what the adult population is like. Everything is so complicated. Everything is so gray area. Everything's a gray area, you know, blurred lines, which let's not forget how weird it was that song was a thing. When it's literally quite literally talking about blurring the lines of, you know, consent and whatnot and what have you. This is how simple children are to deal with. We then all lined up and went to the amazing 1980s. We did the Superman dance and I had so much fun that I could burst. After that, we played musical statues, in brackets, I nearly won, with an exclamation mark. I loved musical statues. Amy won and she was really happy. Next, we went to the future where Mr. Smith had drawn one side of a robot, an alien and a rocket, and we had to draw the other side. We then played a game when Mr. Smith said, robot, we had to jump on our chairs. The future was lovely. It was fun. Then I went to the American Diner for my packed lunch. It was yummy. The American Diner tables had a booth between them. After, I had a delicious ice cream. In the afternoon, we went to the 1960s. I wanted to point out something else, that with different subjects and different students, this is another thing I learned when I was teaching all these kids in the last time, because when I'm saying I was teaching year 3s and year 5s, I had 2 year 3 classes I had to teach, 2 year 5 classes I had to teach. And it was one thing that was really interesting to me is that, and that I feel like the education system doesn't acknowledge, is that different kids have different strengths in different areas. So some children are writing a lot more than other children in the same year group. If you were to go and then look at the mathematical abilities, you'll see the same thing. If you were to go and look at the other abilities, it'll be the same thing. So all of this, trying to put everybody into this same box, is one of the reasons I'm so frustrated with this stupid education system. We haven't finished the story yet. In the afternoon, we went to the 1960s. We made peace signs, cut them out, and then we could colored the lovely peace sign. Then we could colored the lovely peace sign, and then we wore them as necklaces. After, we had to line up and go to year 1. There, we danced the Macarena and played some more 90s games. It was fantastic. Then we went to year 2 and played lots of 1950s board games. It was so much fun. At the end of the day, we all had, it says bogey, but I think it means boogie. We all had a bogey on the playground. What a fantastic day. Oh my gosh. It's funny because I feel like some of these stories, right, they've put the whoever was friends together, the stories next to each other, because the next story also talks about going to an American diner. So I guess these are the people that were friends, you know? Okay, listen to this. Another year 3. One Friday, something magical happened in year 3. Classes went back in time to different decades through a magical door. This was all to celebrate Orange Academy's 60th birthday. To start the school day, the children opened the door and they were in the 2000s. The children learned about cars, shoes, fashion, and clothes. Some cars were very good to drive around. Then, I don't know why my brain is blanking like heck. Mrs. Flowers' class went to the 1980s. They learned lots and lots of dancing. There were games like dancing musical bumps and musical statues and also some funny moves. They had so much fun. Then the children went to the future. There were lots of futuristic pictures to color, including aliens, spaceship, and robots. When the pictures were finished, they looked cool. You see what I'm saying? They looked cool. After that, you see what I mean when I say this? Because like to the kids, something looks cool. To the adult population, the connotations on words gets crazy. Like, what does cool mean? Because in this time, cool means this to this person, and cool means cool to that person, and cool means cool to this way, and cool means cool to that way. And the nuance, give me a break. After that, the children visited an old-time restaurant. There were burgers, chips, and ice cream. After lunch, the children went to the 1960s, 1990s, and the 1950s and took part in lots of different activities. All the children enjoyed the lovely, fun, exciting from the past. They had so much fun traveling through time and enjoyed the journey with the other children. Thank you. We love to see... Oh, someone's really gone off here and written like, we got to read this one then. Okay. And then we're going to go to the next year group. See what I'm saying as well, guys? I want you to understand something here. Oh my gosh, I can't literally stand this planet. On the 29th of April 2016, it was a special day for Orange Academy. Children dressed in fancy 1950s clothing and went back to the future on an exciting adventure full of fun. The children quickly rushed into the amazing 1950s hall and watched people in a car time traveling across different decades. Frank said people looked cool with their clothes. First, the year 3 pupils went to the 2000s where the girls made stylish dresses while the boys made cool-looking automatic cars. Oh, that's violence in 2024. Not the freaking 6-year-olds in 2016 creating violence for 2024. Oh, the girls made stylish dresses while the boys made cool-looking automatic cars. Are you misgendering? Oh, I love kids. That's what I'm saying. They're so simple and precious and pure when you look after them and you guide them. Then they had an exciting break time. After break, year 3 went to the 1980s where they did some fantastic moves. They also played musical statues and musical bumps, that again. But year 3 had to leave and go to the next decade. My goodness. The next time traveling place was the future. In the future, the students made amazing rockets, robots, aliens, and they also played a game where what was I calling before? Smith said, robot. When this happened, they stood up on the chairs. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if it's that they all wrote the stories together in class. I don't know how it went, but I love the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, I love how the stories will kind of sync together and did a robot dance. It was then time for lunch. At lunch, the pupils were served their lunch, and when they had finished, them, they each got some delicious ice cream. The ice cream was served with sweets and some chocolate cake. It was so yummy. No one, like, after lunch, year 3 went to reception and made peace signs because peace was popular in the 1960s. Once they had colored the peace signs, they made them into a necklace. Yeah, we heard this. The next decade was the 1990s. The children all danced to the number one song. Song is in capital letters. Mysterious Girl. It started off with 2 boys called Frank and Cash dancing, but then Mrs. Tulip, I don't know, called year 3 pupil Alex to show them how to do it properly. Alex got to the front and performed some amazing dancing, and then Joanne joined in with the dancing. And after that, goodness me, you guys, Joe joined too, and it turned into a boys' party. Then the girls danced to the Spice Girls. Oh my gosh. Finally, we had a grand finale dance where we danced all together. It was fun. Can I just say that one of the things I forgot to mention in my previous video when I was talking about, like, you know, just watch the video. I was talking about being born in the 90s. It's so funny how my life just works out like this. I just so happened to find this book from whenever ago, just now. That's from like years ago. Anyway, and one of the things I've said before, and I'll say it again, that I find it so weird how the Spice Girls, when they kicked off, so many people talk about at the concert, there were like young kids going to these concerts, young kids like of these ages, of these kids who are here now. And I think that was another big thing that has affected the children, why they've turned out the way they've turned out today. The next decade was the 1950s, where the pupils were given a little introduction to start the decade. Year 3 were given the facts that they could read out to the rest of the class. When the introduction and the facts were done, they could go and play some 1950s games. A pupil called Simon played with another pupil called Charles. They had to flick the coin up after they pushed it to the end of the table. Charles said, "It was impossible." Where am I? Mr. Miyagi took year 3 outside and they did some skipping. Everyone enjoyed the 1950s. Year 3 happily went back to the 1970s, which was their decade for the 60th anniversary. Sadly, year 3 could not do the 1970s activity, which was quite sad, but they still had a good time. Then it was the end of the day. Luckily, after school had finished, the children had a flash dance planned for the parents to see. It was fantastic because the parents joined in. After this dance, Orange Academy's children went and played at their fair. There were so many things to play. The first thing, who was this one again? I don't know. Let's just go with Charles from year 3 was go and eat an amazing chocolate cookie. It was delicious. Then Charles played the football game with Tim. Played the football game. Tim was cheering Charles on, but Charles did not get the football through the hole, and Charles did not feel happy. But when he played the coconut game, even though he did not succeed, he felt much better. Finally, Charles went on the bouncy castle for 30 seconds and bought an ice lolly. What a fun day. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't even got past the 6-year-olds in this book here. And this is what these kids are capable of. This is what these kids were writing with a teacher that cared enough to say, I want to give them something they can keep forever, something they can publish. These 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds are established, published writers. Are you guys published? Are you published? Are you a published writer? Didn't think so. Do you see what I'm saying? And I just think this is absolutely beautiful. And the reason why I was absolutely bawling my eyes out at this, you know, and just seeing this is that this is what I'm saying when I say about children need to be loved and looked after and nurtured and guided and disciplined, right? And helped. Because when they do, they thrive. Just like looking after a garden, right? And you have to fertilize it, you have to water it, you have to do all of these things. Let me show you guys something. Now, this is quite embarrassing, but it's going to illustrate my point perfectly. So I have only one plant on my windowsill in this room, right? A mint plant. Here's the situation. who all I have to do is water it every day, don't do the job. Do you want to see the state of this plant, you guys? This is the state of my mint plant right now. Dehydrated. The leaves are falling off. It's dead and it's dying. I started to water it again, and there's actually, if you look, you can see that there's actually regrowing, and it's actually incredible how as soon as I start re-watering it, if I re-water it today and I do it again tomorrow and I do it again the day after and do it again the day after, it's going to come back to life. Mint plants apparently are one of the hardest to kill. Right? But you know why it's in this state? Because I'm not watering it. So I am sick and tired of the adult population saying what they have to say about the children when they are just an unwatered, unnurtured plant. You know something else that you have to do with plants? Something that God does, and that's why when the Bible talks about Jesus is the... Where's my Bible? I'm getting my Bible. You see how... I am the true vine. This is John 15. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Listen, that is already enough, because this is my point here. First of all, why is the Bible always talking about plants and animals? Because wisdom is in creation itself, because that's why when the Bible says that Solomon was the wealthiest and the wisest, it says he knew of all the animals, all the this and all of that, because he had the wisdom. Okay. And life, think about it. I was just outside in the garden just before I found this book, right? And I was just looking because I was just thinking, nature's just amazing. Life is just lifing out there. Like when it's just raining, did you see how the animals and the plants, when Chernobyl was doing after the whole Chernobyl incident, the humans couldn't even go there, but the plants and the animals, they made it work. The life is lifing. But listen to this. When God talks about Jesus, I am the true vine. Jesus is the vine, and Father is the vine dresser. The vine needs dressing. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And he takes away. You getting cut off. That's a message for some of you. You need to be bearing fruit. That's why the Bible says you shall know them by their fruit. And every branch that does bear fruit, so you are bearing fruit, fantastic. He prunes that it may bear more fruit. Did you guys know, I learned this while I was in Italy, because obviously my friend in Italy, she's a sommelier. She's a wine expert. And I drank some of the best wine in the world in Italy. And she was explaining to me, because we were talking about this, about how the cheap wines that we buy are the wines that when you go out there, the grapes are like harvested early and turned straight into wine. The expensive ones, they grow, they prune them, they let them grow back. They grow, they prune them, they let them grow back. They grow over and over again and are pruned over and over again. And that's what creates them into the best wine. Are you guys hearing what I'm trying to say here? Are you hearing me? So the reason why I'm crying when I'm reading this book is because I'm in excruciating pain on behalf of the children who cannot defend themselves, like the rest of the adult population who defends themselves. At every given moment, everybody's got a problem. Men are against women. Blacks are against whites. Older people against younger people. Gays against straights. Climate change against this. Vegans against carnivores. Who cares? You can defend yourself. You know who can't defend themselves? The freaking children. And you know what happens when you actually look after them? They thrive. They become the best tasting wine in the world, and they become our future. So that's why oh my goodness. Anyway, stay tuned, because I'm about to do another video. And I'm going to ruffle some feathers with that one as well. And honestly, I don't care, because while the rest of you argue and complain about me, like what the adults do, I'm going to be out here focusing on fertilizing and watering our future.